Hi, welcome back. We are going to do some watercolor baggy florals. We just got a cheap $1 watercolor pan and our baggie and an old brush that we had laying around. So we're just going to pick up some yellow and then we are going to place it right onto our plastic bag. And so I'm just dabbing it around and getting a bunch of color because yellow is kind of light, but I wanted to have a good base to kind of do some blending and things like that. So we've got a little bit on there. We are going to turn our baggie over and just mush it down. Just tap and peel it up. Then we are going to repeat that step again. Dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. So we are going to repeat that, and we're ready. We're going to turn it over. Be careful when you're turning it over. It is water, so it does like to run off, but if it's a little messy on the sides, that's fine. So we're just going to smush that down. It makes a really fun, interesting pattern when we do that. So now I think I've got enough yellow. So we are going to get a dry paper towel and just kind of wipe off our baggie. That way we can go on to our next color. So I just put that aside, and now we are going to pick up, well, to clean our brush first. And then we are going to pick up, let's see, some blue. Yep, blue sounds good. So just getting my brush really loaded. I'm going to paint it right onto that baggie. Just kind of like poking it anywhere and everywhere. I kind of want it to be spread out along the yellow. So when we turn it over, again, being careful not to, you're going to see that since our yellow was still very wet, we are getting some really fun greens. And I'm not quite sure that I'm done with my blue. So we're going to pick that up, re-put some on our baggie, and we're just going to smush that down, tapping with our finger to kind of get it to spread out a little bit more. Gonna wipe that down. Then we're gonna get some more. I think it needs a little bit more over here, so we're just gonna, you can be a little precise with where you want your colors as long as you can place your dot in the correct spot. I think that is good, so I think we are going to move on to our next color. And we are going into red. Yep, I'm just going to get that nice and worked up there. We're going to place it on our baggie again, just like so. Just dab it away. Just dab, dab, dab. And then I think I need some color right here. So I'm just tapping it down so it spreads out more. And it makes some really fun orange colors up in the yellow where they kind of overlap. We're going to do a couple more of the red right there. Yep. Look at that really fun orange there in that yellow. I think it's turning out quite fun. It's kind of a paint splatter. You could also do this method and just use it as a background for like some words or something like that, but today we are going to be using, we're just going to doodle on top in a little while. So we're going to take some more red, and we're just going to, yep, right there. tap that down. Nice dark red there. And maybe a little bit. I think it needs a little something else, so something a little bit more structured. But I think we're going to go with some green first and make some foliage to go into our bouquet. So we're just going to smack that down. We've already got a lot of like brighter greens from the blue and the yellow mixing together. These are just some more subdued ones just to kind of give some volume to our bouquet. And when you double tap it like that, where it's not got a whole lot at one spot, it makes a really fun splatter pattern. Alright, I'm just going to go in with some green here and create some stems. I am using the brush that came with my little watercolor set. Again, these were like a $1 set that we got probably at Dollar General. And I'm just going through and I'm making some crisscross and some straight ones. And you can either leave it with just stems floating in the air, or you can go in with another color and you can make a mason jar. That's what I'm planning on doing. So we're just going to start with a very slightly curved, like sideways C, and then connect it in an oval around our stems, making sure to take care at the back where the stems would be more visible, would be in front of the back of the glass. We're going to make some little zigzag lines and all the way over the front here because it is in front of our stems, and we're going to make some little textures there. I'm just going to make a little divot and then come down and around the bottom. Same thing on the other side, little divot, then come down and around the bottom to make a little mason jar. And I kind of want this side to have a little bit more oomph, a little bit more watercolor vibe going on. So we're going to go in with some little splatters of, well, I say splatters of paint. We're just going to go in around the edge with a loaded brush and try to create some fanning of our paint. And so when we fan it out, it'll create that fun kind of fading effect. So looks like I need to add a little bit more water. So if you look closely up there at the top, it is doing some fading, and then it'll do it pretty good down here at the bottom now that it's got a nice coat of wetness. And you'll see how it spreads out. And that's kind of what we're going for there. Just something to kind of give our plain jar some texture and interest, and kind of bring it into our messy florals. So we're just going to refine that. Now I think we need some water. So we're going into the blue, and we are going to do a little bit of a watered down blue. So I'm just trying to thin that blue out a little bit because it is a pretty bright blue. So we're just going to choose a spot and go for it. So choosing here. This is where my water line will start. We're just going to drag it straight down. and tap into some of that brighter blue again. Just bring it straight down. I'm going to gap some more water so that I can do some more of those, do kind of a gradient. And then once I get it all nice and wet, I think I want some more of that texture, that watercolor texture that comes from dropping a big blob of paint into something that's wet. It's called a wet on wet technique. See how it fades out like that? Isn't that gorgeous? And we're just going to do that here and there, just hither and thither, anywhere we please. I like doing it along the edges. And I'm noticing that my stems have gone away, so I'm just going to pull some in. They're going to kind of do that same effect where they kind of feather out. And I think it looks really, really gorgeous. So, got enough stems for my liking, I think. And I think we're going to go back in with some more green. Maybe create some more leaves down here at the bottom. Yep, right there. That's a good spot for some. And I feel like it needs a touch more. So just gonna smack that on there, smack, smack. And that turned out to be a little bit of a brighter green, which is very nice. Rinse my brush out. And I think it needs more purple. So we're gonna go in with something a little bit more structured. It's going to look somewhat like a lavender plant. Oh, I dropped some. Let's just splatter that around. Sure, why not? Adds to the effects, right? All right. And we're done. Clean off your finger a little bit. Now we're going to go in and do something that's similar to a lavender. We need a little bit more. All right, and we're just going to dab in kind of a really tall, skinny triangle. I'm going to place one here, just wherever you think it needs a little pop of purple. Again, a really dabby, tall triangle is what we're aiming for. This one's really light, so I'm going to go in with some of the darker, with some more saturated purple and just drop some color in there. Just really swirl it in there good and just drop it right in there. Then I think I need one here. And do I need another one? I think I will. I think we're looking a little empty up top. This one's definitely darker, but that is fine. Flowers come in all sorts of shades, even on the same plant if they're a newer or older flower. So another one right here. All right. We're going to add some more. Just kind of drop in some darker color on that one. And it just kind of gives some of our loose florals here some definition. You are welcome to continue doing this for as long as you like. You can keep adding in baggy flowers or adding in some semi-structured flowers like these, but I think I might be done with the watercolors because I'm kind of fond of how it looks. I think that this is a really great color arrangement, and so now I'm going to take my black pen And I'm just going to choose a color that is dry. So our blue was one of our first colors that was dry, so we're just going to go in, we're going to make a couple of dots for the center, and then just do the most simple flower ever, just petals, and they don't have to be pretty petals, they don't have to be perfect, and then we're just going to take some lines to kind of look like some texture in the petal. We're going to do that, and then a leaf over here in the green, and they do not have to match up with your watercolors at all. So that's one of the great things about this project is like you can just kind of plan like green foliage, but your lines and shapes and paint do not have to match at all. You'll see here I was just like meh, and that is not leaf shaped at all, and we've even got some green runoff there. Found some more blue. I'm just gonna make another flower here. See how it runs off into the yellow and the pink, but we're still just going to add it in there. We're just going to do that, and here's some more. I'm going to make this one kind of a flatter flower. I'm going to do that by making my petals kind of circles at the bottom, and then adding in my taller petals at the back. So it kind of makes it look like it's angled. Then here's another blue that I think I'll do. And we want that petal. Then maybe, again, some flatter flowers. Kind of angled. Come up here at the top, being careful of my wet things. Got two big splotches here that I think will do. And this one's just a little bit smaller than that one beside it, and we'll just put our little lines in. Again, these don't have to be pretty lines, they're just for texture. Another flower. And I think we'll go in with a leaf here and here. When I make a leaf, I just kind of do a weird S and then just bring it on back and then put a line in the middle of it. Some of my spots are still kind of damp, so my pen kind of sticks funny. And we are going to move in on let's test if these are dry. These are all pretty dry. So we're going to move on these, I think. And another leaf there. They weren't quite dry enough. And we're going to do a rose-like. So I just do a circle with a cross through the middle of it and a swirly like an at. And then I'm just going to add some petals around it. And I'm going to place that behind there so that it kind of looks like it's behind that blue flower. Do a little one here. Then we're just going to bring down so it looks kind of like a rose. I'm going to do that in all of my pink places. So we're just going to do the little circle with the X through it and a swirly and just bring it down in kind of a squiggle motion. I'm going to add some some petals here. Then around and there. And one petal there. Just to finish that one out. And a big leaf there, because there's little spots of green, and I think that's a great place for a leaf. Really need this to dry a little bit faster, but you can already see how it's starting to look really cute. And you are welcome to draw as much or as little as you want. You can leave certain things untouched if you'd like, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just add some frillies around my purple to kind of give them some definition. And around. They don't have to be exact. They just got to be kind of in the ballpark area, just like everything else. Everything else is just kind of ballpark area. Still kind of damp. It's best if you wait until it's all the way dry, but we didn't do that. So, looking at it, got a lot of empty spots here in the middle. I think the yellow, I want something abundant, so we're going to do these little bitty flowers. They're just little 4 or 5. They can just be placed anywhere and everywhere there that you see yellow, or anywhere that needs a little bit more floral. So these, of course, are all yellow, but you can see that they run outside the yellow and everything else. So they're just a little doodle that's kind of insinuated that they're the yellow flower. And we'll just continue doing that, adding little flowers here and there and everywhere. They're really concentrated right there in the middle. So we're going to branch out a little bit. This is close enough to my red. I think I'll make this orange spot one of our flowers, and it's going to be facing all the way towards us. So we're going to do a circle with the and add some petals. That little yellow flower is in front, so we're going to put that petal around it. And another little flower, some foliage, because that's kind of a green mixture there. Yours is probably going to look a lot different than mine, so just wherever you feel like there needs to be a flower, just go ahead and put one there. It doesn't matter what kind of flower. It's going to look good in the end. I would recommend a mixture of flowers though, just because our eyes like variety. We're just going to stick a flower out here. There's no yellow there, but there's just a smidge of yellow there, so I'll put some flowers there. Put a little cluster there. I think I'll put a few more here. And just filling in. And this spot here, it has a lot of blue, so I think I'll go back with that blue flower and create another one. And it's just going to be, you know, a pretty basic one, just like that first one. Just because it's not all blue right there doesn't mean that that flower can't live there. Then we're going to add some more of those yellow flowers. And I think we're done. I really like the way this project turned out. What do you guys think? Drop a comment.